But what I need is proof. I can't take your word on this. But those assumptions merely leave my son stranded in enemy territory. Bilal may still be alive.
What's the deal here, Ambassador?
I fully understand the situation. Of course I read through the names of the dead every day, but... Please, please, a few more minutes of searching could mean a lifetime of peace for my family.
Someone in your family is MIA?
My son Bilal. And bureaucratic compassion seems to be in short supply. I am Ambassador Dominic Osoba. My son's squad returned from their mission on Benning without him. I found them drinking, but they won't even look me in the eye. I can offer a bounty for any information. If Bilal's alive, we want him home. If he's dead, then we can begin to mourn him.
If I find anything, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Either way, you will set my mind at ease.
Okay. That gives us another journal update. I would just prefer if you didn't use the word bounty to describe what you want us to... or the reward that you're going to give us if we are to find information about your family member, your son, because, it's not like we're about to kill this guy. At least I hope that's not how that's going to play out, because that is Benning evidence. Ambassador Dominic Osoba is looking for evidence of his son lost during a mission on Benning. Find evidence of what happened to his son and return to the ambassador. Okay, so that is another quest, and we are just getting a ton here on the Citadel, and that may continue because we have not yet visited every area.
Good morning. Oh, hello, ma'am.
We heard this woman last time asking for information about someone that is missing, I believe was the idea, and she just wanted that person to check again, but the person was saying there's just pretty much no chance. All right, here's Bailey. I'm not sure Bailey's really going to have anything new to say to us.
It never rains, but it pours, eh, Shepard?
That bad, huh?
Things here are getting tense. So many refugees scuttling about, rumors flying about the war. People are walking around eyeballing each other, and we can't keep up with the reports on suspicious behavior.
Yeah, and I think we've asked about all that stuff, so should be good with
It'll
Bailey.
probably get worse before it gets better, Bailey.
Yeah, if it ever gets better.
Okay. So let's see, we have Ambassador Udina's office over here. We could chat with him if we would like to. That is, if he was here. He is, okay. And then we have the Spectre area over there, which we might want to check out.
Shepard?
Although you may not have anything new to say to us, because we, of course, spoke with him last time we were here.
I'll be here.
So let's just take a look over here at the Spectre Outpost. Because as I was saying, so this is the area where, in theory, if you go on a mission and you miss a key item of some variety, you might be able to purchase it here. And, ideally you would not have to do that because you would just get it on the mission, then you'd be getting it for free rather than having to pay for it here. But it is nice in that way in that you can have that security blanket. There are, of course, some really nice weapons here. Some things that we would very much like to get. And so when I'm talking about, maybe we try to be a little bit careful about spending a bunch of monies now, this is the primary reason why, is because there are several weapons here that we would love to have, because these are, in many cases, just the best weapons in the game. So, it is tempting to pick up other stuff, but I think we probably hold off for now, and we don't need to save every last cent, but we'd like to save a lot of our money so that we can get that stuff soon. Then we also learn about military pardons for Normandy engineers. Engineers Gabriella Daniels and Ken Donnelly, you may remember the engineers from Mass Effect 2 that were hanging out in, well, the engineering area, that they were chatty. They were chatty and may have, taken some shots at each other every now and again that we overheard as they were in heated discussion. But they are in custody on the Citadel for working with Cerberus. Daniels and Donnelly surrendered peacefully before the Normandy was turned over to the Alliance, but have maintained that they were motivated purely to help fight the Collectors and Reapers and had no other connection to the terrorist organization. Spectre authorization could offer Daniels and Donnelly full pardons and reinstate them aboard the Normandy. That sounds like a good idea to me. Bring them back onto the Normandy? I mean, they seem like good people, both of them. It's not like either of them gave the vibes of, hardcore Cerberus people who were all about human superiority and wanted all other species in the galaxy to get exterminated and what have you. No, they just seemed like, reasonable, good-natured people. So let's get them back. And then, obviously, we unfortunately can't afford any of those big weapons just yet. Oh. Jodam Bao is a person that we got an email from that we were checking on in the Normandy. Yeah, which one this was for exactly, but it was the STG guy. So let's check in.
Commander Shepard, John Dumbao, Special Tactics and Recon. I've got intel suggesting that high-level Hanar officials may be indoctrinated.
That's a damning accusation. What have you got?
Evidence of an Alliance Black Ops team raiding a Batarian research station. The Batarians were studying Reaper technology.
The Batarians had Reaper technology?
The Alliance raid turned into a massacre, and the humans ended up with nothing. Your people faked a power failure to hide the incident.
The Batarians would have gone to war if they'd found out. But how does this implicate the Hanar?
They maintained discreet gray market trade relationships with the Batarians, and led the Alliance to the station. We suspect those Hanar operatives escaped with Batarian tech. If your reports on the Reapers are accurate, they could already be indoctrinated.
What's your source on all this?
It was an anonymous gift, but I believe it came from a thief named Kasumi Goto. I've been after her for years.
Kasumi? You're hunting a thief?
That name rings a bell.
Her intelligence and skill are almost Solarian.
I'm sure she'd appreciate praise from the Spectre who's chasing her down.
I only need her data. I admire her personally. And since she sent me this, I assume her feelings are mutual.
So, of course, Kasumi is an old squad mate from Mass Effect 2, another one of my favorite teammates that we've had in the past, but we've not seen her or heard from her until right now. So, we'd like to help.
What do you need me to do?
The Hanar operative is now a diplomat on the Citadel. I don't have a public name, and the Hanar will go to ground if I make a formal inquiry.
So we're hunting.
I'm tracking suspicious transmissions to the Hanar homeworld. I could use your help.
Let me see what I can dig up at the Spectre office.
Thanks, Shepard. And for the record, not everyone doubted your concerns about the Reapers. I just hope we're not too late.
So, remember when you helped me get KG's grey box from Donovan Hawk? The one with information that could start a war?
Hey, Kasumi.
I thought we destroyed that information to keep you safe.
There were enough clues left for me to piece things together when I got curious. It was big enough to leak it to Bao. If you don't mind me tagging along cloaked, maybe I can help you dig up some dirt on the Hanar.
I'd appreciate it.
All right. So that being said, was not really intending for us to do this right now, but I don't know to what extent, after having done that conversation, that we might kind of sort of need to address this at this very moment, because, well, the Slayer Inspector John Dumbao suspects that a member of the Hanar diplomatic staff is indoctrinated. Find evidence on the Hanar in the Presidium embassies, which would be right here at our Spectre terminal. Now, I mean, ideally, I would love if we could kind of just put that stuff aside for the time being and come back to it on a later occasion, but I don't know if that works, because as pleased as I am to see Kasumi again, because as I was just saying, she's one of my favorite squad mates from Mass Effect 2. In fact, in my initial Mass Effect 2 playthrough, I think he was at the top of my list with Thane. I forget what my official list was of preferred teammates, my favorite teammates, but she might have been number one. It's either her or Thane. But now, after having played everything through again recently in Legendary Edition, I don't know, I haven't reevaluated, but the thing is, it's pretty significant getting the chance to do a mission with one of our old squad mates, so I would have liked to have built up to it a little bit more rather than, rushed into it like this, which it kind of feels like is the case if we're doing it this early. So, on one hand, I feel like I don't want to do it right away because I'd like to save big stuff like that for a little bit later on. On the other hand, if by not doing it right now, we miss the opportunity to do it altogether, obviously, that's not very good either. I mean, presumably we can at the very least head over to different parts of the Citadel. I think we're able to head over to other areas here, and I think we should even be able to go and do other missions in the meantime, because we still have the quest listed there. Now, in Mass Effect 3, I suppose this is a little time in which to discuss this a bit, but in Mass Effect 3, there are some missions that are time-gated, in that if you wait to do them for too long, then you will fail them, or they will no longer be available to you, so functionally, you fail them. So you do need to be a little bit careful about that. That was something that never really happened in Mass Effect 1, kind of, sort of, beyond, obviously, both Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 had points of no return. Mass Effect 2, it was a little more the case, but probably even more so in Mass Effect 3. But let's head over to the Presidium Commons, because we've not yet been there. Okay, so here we are at the Presidium Commons, and this is a pretty big area that we've not yet been to. And from here, we can either go straight back to the Normandy or go to Dr. Bryson's lab. This is, of course, as we were saying before, a totally separate area of the Citadel, which is purely associated with one of the missions that we picked up that was originally a DLC, but is something we want to wait before we do. But...
Want us to enlist as soldiers? Isn't there anything else we can do?
The military needs everyone they can get.
None of us knows how to fight.
Mackenzie's a biotic. Dave and Graham go to the pistol range. Oh, and Orion's always buying mods for his shotgun.
The one he's never even fired. I love our friends, but we are not combat material.
I can't sit around watching what's happening to Earth anymore.
So, you want us to enlist as soldiers? Isn't there anything else we can do?
The military needs everyone they can get.
None of us knows how to fight.
So we have to choose who to support here. They want to help or at least the gung-ho civilian wants to find some way to help out the war effort, particularly given everything that's happened on Earth. Then you have the reluctant civilian, which may just not want to do anything at all to help. So, I mean, we gotta go all hands on deck, right?
The Alliance can use your help. There's plenty of non-combat roles.
Thanks. Who was that?
The first human Spectre?
Wow, Commander Shepard?
He thinks we could do some good.
Okay, I'll look at that recruitment brochure. Maybe they can use someone to stack crates or cook or something.
So there you go. Another one of those conversations we can weigh in on. Then we have a few terminals here. Oh.
Denying refugees basic services. It seems the Reapers took our culture when they took our world. The Book of Plenix demands charity and forgiveness of debts in times of war. Of course, the Book of Plenix was lost on our home world, and now our people have lost their way.
So, we've not seen much we've seen at least a few, I think, in the embassy area, but they are known for being the primary merchants, or the most skilled economically of basically every species in the galaxy, and so, you know, they're known to be bankers and financiers and what have you, and so in this case, this Volus is saying how in times of catastrophe like this, perhaps times to be a little more merciful when it comes to taking it easy on people's debts and what have you, when otherwise, you know, you might have been a little more strict when it comes to those things. So now there's side quests. We're going to pick up a ton of those on the Citadel, as we're seeing the list is already 3 times as long as it was before we got here. So Volus on the Citadel needs the Book of Plenix to inspire his people. Recover it from Irune, which is the homeworld for the Volus, and return it to him on the Presidium to succeed. But we have a couple of shops here, or at least one shop, including Kanala Exports. And we have some other options here for weapon mods. Sniper Rifle Concentration mod. This actually is exclusive to single player. It is not in multiplayer, so I'm not as familiar with it. Increases damage by 7.5%. I mean, it looks like a small number, but if you fully upgrade something like this, then presumably that number goes up, and it can, in that case, I would think, get to a reasonably high number. Also, speeds perception by 27.5%, enhancing aim for a brief time. That, I think, is the primary piece. It's the part that's unique about this weapon mod. So it basically is like a slows down time as you're aiming with a sniper, and, I mean, we aren't really using snipers with Shepard. I'm not sure to what extent, if at all, it helps with squad mates, or it does give a little bit of damage, but I don't think this is going to be worth the monies. SMG magazine upgrade, or, I mean, not really sure that's a super high priority either. Enhanced scope, just pure accuracy and aiming through smoke for sniper rifles. Again, just sniper rifles not our highest priority right now. More armor in this case. Power damage, shields, power recharge speed. This actually is a pretty solid combination for us. At the moment, we're at a purely defensive setup, which is kind of nice, especially while we're a little bit weaker and we have not yet buffed up our health or shields or barriers all that much with our passive upgrade. So, but, I mean, eventually this would give us a little more oomph on our biotics, which is kind of nice. Then, melee damage, no thank you. Weapon damage, shields, health, yeah, just definitely not a good fit for us. Speaking of fish, might have been looking down a little bit here at the koi fish. These prize decorative carp are native to Earth. Then we have an SMG recoil system, reducing or increasing the weapon stability for SMGs, which can be significant. You know, there are certainly some SMGs out there, including some of the best ones in the game, that do have a lot of kick when you fire them. And so being able to have them hold steadier means you're going to hit more of your shots. So it's kind of like the Smart Choke, the accuracy boosting upgrade for the shotgun we were talking about a little while back, and that although it doesn't say it increases damage, functionally it usually does by quite a significant amount, because you're just going to hit more, and that means you're going to deal more damage. Nothing that is super high priority there, though. Let's look at Elkos Combine then. Or maybe we chat with Barla Vaughn first. Now that's a familiar name. He was the Volus that we met in Mass Effect 1 on the Citadel that gave us some info about the Shadow Broker.
Selling now would be unwise. I'm aware of what's happening. Offload them into the Motan cluster. And then I'd advise traveling someplace safer.
You talking to us? Or are you on the phone with somebody else?
I wouldn't go to the settled worlds. Larger colonies appear to be priority targets. If you're coming to the Citadel, do it soon. Certainly. Look me up. Business will keep me here for some time.
You okay, Barla Vaughn? I mean, that was an interesting insight there, avoiding the highly settled worlds. Yeah, that does make some sense, but also really sounds like you're talking to someone else.
Don't count on the Batarians. Karshon is lost. The is spearheading this war. I agree it's quite impressive, but I wouldn't venture into the Sol system.
Phew. Trash talking to a certain extent the Batarians, which, again, given how they got hit first and perhaps hit the hardest, it's a little bit understandable. Some praise for the humans, but also some criticism as well, or at least don't go over to where the humans are, the local cluster, because, well, or the Sol system. Yeah, there are a lot of Reapers there. It's probably a bad idea. Let's look at what you have here, because you have a lot of weapons, and some very good weapons at that. The Rieger Carbine. This is a very, very interesting weapon. It has quite the reputation. So, this electrical weapon improves upon the arc pistol's design by generating a sustained current on its target. This weapon is named for the Quarian Rieger family, like Cal Rieger, who we actually met in Mass Effect 2, whose Marines have served valiantly against the Geth. So it's a Quarian weapon, and it shoots electricity. Pretty short range, it's a shotgun, but it has really high damage, and has some quirky, technically, is it a bug? Actually not sure if it's a bug per se, but let's just say it is a weapon. Yeah, I think some of the gimmicks with it are in fact bugs, but theoretically has some of the highest damage in the game. So amazing weapon if you want to stoop to that level, but at least in multiplayer it is it's frowned upon a little bit for that reason, because it is kind of sort of not a legitimate, or it's a weapon that is not supposed to be working as well as it does in game for that reason. I assume that the same strengths through bugs that it has in multiplayer also exist in Mass Effect single player, but I suppose it's possible that's not the case. Yet the Plasma SMG, on the other hand, at least in multiplayer, is atrocious. So it's, of course, a submachine gun. This submachine gun works on the same principles as the Spitfire, which is another Geth weapon that we may see here, not entirely sure. It shoots superconducting toroids that break apart on impact, retaining an electrical charge that flash converts the shrapnel into plasma. Unlike the Spitfire, basically just like a bigger version of this weapon. However, this smaller Geth weapon has been modified to take thermal clips. Holding down the trigger speeds up its rate of fire, rapidly depleting the gun's heatsink in exchange for nearly continuous fire. That's basically what it does. It's an SMG that you can shoot forever, and the speed at which it shoots will increase the longer you hold down the trigger, but the damage is just abysmal. So, I am not the biggest fan of it, or at least based on my multiplayer experience, I went a very long time using this weapon, just trying to find some way to make it work, and with one or two exceptions with just really powerful characters, for everyone else, it was so terrible. I would not recommend it, at least based on that. Bloodpack Punisher, is this one the SM? I think this is the SMG. The Punisher features a secondary barrel that fires one armor-piercing round per main barrel burst. So basically, you shoot relatively quickly. I mean, it's an SMG, and then with the final round in the magazine, it shoots harder, has a lot of kick with that last bullet in the round, and however, that last bullet has this extra armor-piercing capability. So it was developed by Bloodpack Gunsmiths, of course, one of the mercenary groups that we fought in Mass Effect 2, who found that their Vorcha recruits frequently forgot to optimize ammo loads in the heat of combat. This configuration makes the process automatic and highly effective at penetrating armor, which is not usually something that SMGs are particularly good at. They tend to be more an anti-shields weapon, or anti-barriers weapon. The DOS is interesting. Named in memory of the Quarians killed in the Morning War on the planet Ados, so it's also a Quarian weapon, this weapon's electrical attack, sensing a bit of theme with the Quarian weapons, they tend to be electricity-based, has been optimized for medium to long-range firefights. It's an assault rifle, for what it's worth. Alliance Marines take issue with calling it a rifle, though, since technically it has no rifling in the barrel. The Quarians shrug this off, as Quarian weapon terminology rarely translates flawlessly into human languages. So, this one we might actually consider getting, because it's an assault rifle. we have, what, one assault rifle, or we have one improved assault rifle beyond just the starting Avenger. I think it's what, and I was just Vindicator, is it, that we picked up already? Which is a little better than the Avenger. But what I like about the DOS here is, although I haven't used it much in multiplayer, it does have it is particularly good against shields. And that's significant for us, at least, as a biotic, because that is our weakness. A lot of our biotic abilities do not work when enemies have shields on. And so it's kind of something that we want to make an effort to counteract that greatest weakness. And so, in this case, it's a pretty heavy assault rifle, so we probably wouldn't use it ourselves. We'd give it to a teammate instead. But that's tempting. This, I believe, is actually one of those weapons that does behave a little bit differently in single player versus multiplayer. I think it is significantly better in single player. I think its rate of fire is higher, if I remember correctly. So that's a strong consideration. Then we have the Executioner Pistol, which is a bit of a meme, but I actually really like this weapon. It's invented by Bloodpack weapons experts. The first Executioner was improvised using spare parts and scrap metal during an Omega territory dispute. The result was a handheld cannon able to fire high-impact, armor-piercing slugs, although only one at a time due to its limited heatsink. Many Bloodpack mercs carry an Executioner as backup in case they get pinned down, but some enthusiasts prefer it as their primary gun, sticking to the one-shot, one-kill approach. Basically, it is a pistol, but it fires one extremely powerful shot for a pistol. So it's almost like a bit of a hybrid between a pistol and a sniper. I mean, it doesn't have quite the same accuracy as a sniper, but in terms of raw damage, it's kind of close, and it does, as some weapons do, have a particularly high multiplier for hitting enemies in the head. So that is one thing to bear in mind, is that some weapons, the ones that fire projectiles, as we were talking about a little while back with the harpoon gun, the Kishok, and technically also the case with the DOS, I believe, there are some unique characteristics of weapons that fire projectiles, and it means that usually there's some additional benefits that come from the projectile that sort of vary from one gun to the next, but the downsides are that you can't give them additional piercing through weapon mods or through armor-piercing ammo, things like that. And also, a downside is that usually projectile weapons do not get additional damage if you hit people in the head. That may not always be the case, like with the Kishok, it might still work. I'm not 100% sure about that. But on the other hand, for weapons that can hit people in the head or whatever their weak part is, there are weapons that do even more additional damage, have a higher multiplier for hitting enemies in the head. I believe the Executioner Pistol is on that list. Then we have the Striker Assault Rifle. Striker is a fully automatic weapon that functions more or less as a grenade launcher than a rifle, firing high-impact slugs to detonate on contact. The weapon increases its rate of fire the longer the trigger is held, which is devastating if the weapon is kept on target. In an attempt to market the Striker outside the Krogan DMZ, it sounds like it's a Krogan weapon, the gun was designed to be fired by non-Krogan, but its recoil tends to off-balance smaller species. Enthusiast points out that the target on the receiving end of Striker has far worse things to worry about than its shooter's balance. This is another fun one. It's a little bit memey, in that it does quite literally shoot like little mini explosions, or little mini rockets, I guess you could say. They don't deal a huge amount of damage. They deal decent damage, at least based on multiplayer. Which, again, I've done a lot of multiplayer. It's been a long time since I played Mass Effect 3 single player, though, so just speaking from much more recent and much more plentiful multiplayer experience in this case. The damage is not humongous, but what it does is it has a lot of staggering ability. And so I think this is another instance of this being a projectile-based weapon, so no headshots, but the damage is okay. The staggering ability is potentially fantastic, especially if you have a way of increasing your rate of fire, because then you can at times just completely stun lock, or very close to completely stun lock, at least low to mid-level enemies, which is a lot of fun. So it's cool to try out. It might not be a primary weapon per se, especially not on the higher difficulties, but you could consider it. Then Shotgun Shredder mod, we picked up one of these before. This will give us more penetration, which is really nice. Pistol high caliber barrel is just pure damage on pistols, and I do expect pistols probably going to be our primary weapon in the future, and so kind of be my one of, I think, our mods of choice for that. Cerberus Armor we used for a very long time in Mass Effect 2. I don't remember if this is exactly the boost that we got in Mass Effect 2 from it or not. We definitely had shields and health from it back then, but we were a Vanguard then, we're an Adept now, so the weapon damage is not as significant as it might have been back then, so don't think that's as of interest to us. Now this is an interesting one. The Aquarium VI is an auto fish feeder, and we didn't do it in Mass Effect 2, but you had the option of buying fish, and if you did, you needed to feed them after every single mission, otherwise they would die, and you would either need to accept that your fish are now gone, or you would need to buy new ones and try again. And remember, next time, to manually feed them after each mission. However, with the Aquarium VI, if you buy this, then it will automatically feed your fish whenever they need to be fed, and so you don't need to worry about the stuff, making it much, much easier to actually keep that fish. Not that high on our priority list, especially not now when we are still relatively broke, but theoretically if we wanted to experiment with getting some fish, that could be something we could consider doing. Then ultralight materials on pistols, decreasing pistol weapon weight. That's not going to be a huge deal for us, because especially if we're carrying just pistols, then they're going to be really light, and we're probably going to be at 200% recharge time anyway, and just in general, pistols are really light, so, you know. It's not the most significant of upgrades for us, especially if it's going to be a primary weapon. We probably prioritize things that improve damage and whatnot. So that's just a lay of the land in terms of things we might want there, but let's keep on looking, because there may be more here.
If we switch from financial VIs to military gear, we'll lose millions.
Who cares about the money? Haven't you heard the news from Palaven?
That's what your army is for. Nothing's going to reach the Citadel.
We need to start manufacturing military tech. Nobody will need banking software if these Reapers win.
The market for military goods barely carries a profit. Who do you propose as our buyer?
The Council, the Empire, maybe the Alliance. Even if we don't make much now, they'll remember us when the war's over.
If we switch from financial VIs to military gear, we'll lose millions.
Who cares?
They're fighting over, do they focus their business on basically banking software or military software, and the Turian is saying, well, there's a war here, military stuff's going to be pretty important. Salarian says, but the military stuff doesn't make any money, there's going to be no buyers. Well, I think we should warn you.
I've seen Palaven burning. Those fires aren't going out anytime soon. If you can help.
Look, Cyrus, you want to sell your shares and walk fine, but I'm not selling financial VIs while my homeworld burns.
Okay, let me think. We could repurpose the VIs for upgraded targeting solutions.
Right. We'd be able to use most of the hardware. The financial VI has more processing power than we need.
No, that works. We'll rig the VI and it translates for all standard weapons. Refit weapons without having to overhaul your targeting computer. Rapid response flexibility. We'll make a fortune.
A small fortune. We're selling these at cost plus 3%.
Fine.
It's not all about... I mean, this Salarian sounds a bit like a bolus at this point. But no, it's not all about the money. It's about, in this case, seems like we've convinced them to help out the Turians, because they need the help right about now. Then we have this area up here, which is relatively empty. On this side, we have something... We will definitely check this out in great detail, but this might not be the right time for it, because this is a journey. I'm just not sure we're ready for it yet. How's it going? I remember you were doing some Hades mod and stuff, right? A little bit on Pyre as well. I'm doing some Mass Effect 3 Legendary Edition today.
Thinking of going? To Sanctuary, I mean. Sorry, I thought you were looking at the ad.
Of course not. Sanctuary's a scam.
What?
Oh, Count.
A little hard to hear that Volus there. For some reason, he's particularly quiet. But let's continue to look around a bit here.
I can do this anymore.
I know what you mean. I thought our training prepared us for everything. This.
Every time that Asari Commando sees me, she just starts screaming. I can even hear it when I'm trying to sleep now. I'm supposed to be helping her, but I feel like I'm breaking her world all over again every time she sees me.
It's not your fault. Any human would probably trigger that reaction for her at this point.
No. I looked up the file on that colony she was at. That girl she keeps talking about? We look alike. I shouldn't even be allowed in to help anymore.
So this is a reference to that Asari that we were hearing about, or hearing from, in the hospital previously. The one that I was saying we would probably hear more about later on. And it was the Asari who was saying she wanted her gun back, and that she didn't want to be anywhere near humans specifically, which seemed like odd and kind of just a blatantly racist comment, but there seemed to be some kind of stressful trigger there that was happening, and we just didn't really know what that was, and sounds like this may be one of the doctors that was trying to work with that patient, and she's saying, this human here is saying that, well, you know, I just kept on making things worse whenever I showed up, whenever she saw me. So, again, just learning a little bit more about that situation. She said that there was some person that Asari knew that apparently looks very similar to the Doctor, and so we'll learn more about that. It does take a little bit of piecing the puzzle pieces together, but I'll sort of help you connect those dots, because otherwise it might not be obvious that those some of those stories are connected, because obviously we heard about the initial stuff from the Asari in the hospital, and this Doctor over here is in a totally different area of the Citadel, so might not have been clear that they were referring to the same type of thing. Anything happening here? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, some of this stuff may look like where was it? Up there. Starts looking like coding languages and what have you.
We've got to keep Jake in daycare. He should be socializing with other children.
But what if there's another attack?
We can't spend our lives waiting for that.
We're in the middle of a war, and I'm just supposed to send him away every morning?
We've got to keep Jake in daycare. He should be socializing with other children.
But what if there's another attack?
Okay, we just don't even have the option of supporting the guy here. It is just supports, or the woman, it seems, or the arguments, again, just a little hard to hear, but he is saying that they should take their child to daycare, where she's saying, but there's a war, we can't just, like, send away our loved ones every day, because who knows what could happen.
I remember you two, Michael and Rebecca, right? Listen, do whatever is best for your family. Just do it soon. Things are bad out there.
And are they the ones
Thank you.
from Mass Effect 2 that we heard arguing in a store in which they were just trying to figure out what was best for their child, and or might not have even been their child, but or like it might not have been his child, it might be her child, and her husband had died, and he's like her husband, she's like or he's like the brother-in-law or something like that. There was a couple, there was a woman, and I think, again, it was a brother-in-law in that case, in Mass Effect 1 that was in a similar situation. I'm just not entirely sure if they're technically the same people between Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, but given how Shepard recognized the names here, this is definitely the same two people that we saw in Mass Effect 2. Just don't know if that actually dates all the way back to Mass Effect 1 as well. Let's see. What else do we have here? More stuff down in this area, including EDI, it looks like, checking out the Citadel, and a new shop. Let's chat with EDI first, maybe.
Hello, Shepard.
You look like you're gathering data.
That is a safe assumption.
Anything big and world-shaking? Man's inhumanity to man? Does objective reality exist? That kind of thing?
I was running scenarios in my head to analyze Jeff's behavior.
Oh?
I believe he has a strong affectionate attachment to me, but he has not stated it to anyone yet. Shepard, you have first-hand sexual experience. How do you know when someone is romantically invested?
We're explaining romance to a robot, is what is happening right now. Also, as you may recall from Mass Effect 2, back when EDI was just a computer on our ship and did not have a robo-body that she was occupying, Joker kind of hated EDI a lot. Because Joker was saying how, oh, she's just making life difficult for me as the pilot. Now I have to deal with her and can't just do my own thing. I think eventually started to warm up to her over time. Her or them or whatever you want to refer to the computer that is EDI as, but obviously now she has a body, sort of. So, but now that EDI has taken more of a physical form, suddenly Joker has sort of done a complete 180. So, in terms of how you know when someone is romantically interested in you, I mean, yeah, not touching that subject. No, I mean, they pay attention to you a lot.
They'll usually show signs they can't stop thinking about you. You know, asking you out, giving you presents, maybe playing music.
I lack material wants other than hardware and software upgrades, and my core programming does not assign values to music. Perhaps we could discuss how to provoke Jeff into an emotional commitment.
That's not how to think of it. It's gotta be natural. You need chemistry.
I see. There are a number of pharmaceuticals I could inject to simulate the desired emotional state.
No, I mean relax and do something you both like. Something simple. For example, you both like humor.
Correct. I will see if there are comedic entertainment shows being presented on the Citadel. Scanning. Do you think he would like The Man Who Hung Himself? It appears to be about an amorous plastic surgeon.
You know, maybe the specific thing that you're doing doesn't matter that much as it's just the friends you make along the way, right?
Edie, the important thing is to have a good time wherever you go. And if you're having fun, he probably will too.
Then the outcome is an unknown quantity, but you are saying I should attempt it anyway.
Nobody ever fell in love without being a little bit brave.
I see. I believe you have improved my chances, Shepard. Thank you.
Alright. Giving Edie a little bit of a pep talk there, and perhaps a bit of a budding romance between Edie and Joker. Let's see, maybe we can even talk with her again.
I have noticed many displays of public affection on the Citadel. The rate seems disproportionately high.
Everybody could die tomorrow, Edie. Hooking up is one of the few things they can do.
I wonder if this is how the Krogan feel.
It's an interesting observation. Let's see, did she have anything else?
I have spoken with many Batarian refugees here, Shepard. It may interest you to know that they are much more agreeable when the hegemony is no longer watching.
That's also interesting, that the Batarians, who are oftentimes mortal enemies of humans, when they're not in Batarian space, are a little less adversarial.
Excuse me, Shepard. I'm looking through files and videos of human behavior. I have 1.24 million windows open, but your request is important to me. Please hold.
You know, over 1 million windows open, no big deal, and you thought you had a lot of windows open on your computer. Not the case this time. Trying to think of a name for your ooh, Stick Scribe. I do kind of like that. It's got a ring to it. Hearing qualities from Hades and Pyre. Yeah. I do like that.
Welcome to Casa Fabrication Weaponry.
Okay, so we have a new store here that we can check out, Casa Fabrication, and looks like more weapons and or weapon upgrades. We have the Indra, which I myself have not spent much time with, but I have heard good things about. The Indra's low-powered scope leaves it most effective at medium range, but many soldiers believe this limitation is offset by the gun's rapid rate of fire. The Indra is the first military-grade, fully automatic sniper rifle, so it is in some ways sort of like a hybrid between sniper rifle, and an assault rifle, it has an extremely efficient heat sink system that allows a surprisingly large number of shots to be fired before the weapon ejects its thermal clip. Then again, sniper rifle is not really what we're looking to do with our character here, so, you know, potentially for squad mates, but it's either way probably not going to be one of our higher priorities. Pistol mag upgrade, we've already seen one of those. Melee stunner, meaning melee damage for pistols. No thanks, we're not focusing on the melee stuffs. The piercing on pistols, I mean, piercing is generally a good thing, yes, although specifically with the weapon we are planning to use, or I think for our own pistol, probably not that big of a deal, or potentially completely insignificant. But let's see, recoil damper we saw for the SMG, same idea for the assault rifle, just increase the stability so it has less significant kick. Not going to be a big factor for us, because we are probably not going to use assault rifles, but potentially for teammates. Then again, I don't think that the stability for teammates is that important. Magazine upgrade for assault rifle, that actually could be something we'd want to have on a later occasion for Garrus. So that's not out of the question. Then we have sniper rifle thermal clips, shotgun clips, Inferno ammo this time, pure power stuff. So I think we saw one that had a fair bit of power-based stuff and a little bit of either health and or shields, which was somewhat intriguing. This one's even more so the case. Tons of power recharge speed and power damage, so this is the kind of thing we're looking for if we're willing to sacrifice the defenses to do it, but it's a little tempting. And then Alliance Kodiak, just the model. Okay, so that's the stuffs there. Why don't we can have a quick chat with Joker after having taken a little bit of time to shoot the breeze with Edie.
Hey, Commander, check it out. Big news. The Blasto movie is breaking opening week records. There's also a big expose on Quasar tournaments, tips on how to make your apartment look bigger, and, oh yeah, a big-ass Reaper invasion. These people have no idea.
Yeah, they may be scared and trying to find any and everything to distract themselves from imminent war.
When big events shake up the galaxy, people cling to what's familiar.
You say that like it's a good thing.
It's better than riots in the streets.
Of Miami?
I just wish there were a middle ground. You know, a little less gardening advice, a little more...
Riots in the street of Chicago?
It'll happen. Once there's something people can do to help.
Meanwhile, they ignore the unshackled AI walking around the Presidium.
She run into any trouble?
No, she's my mobility assistance mech. Thanks to Vrolic syndrome, I'm legally entitled to bring her everywhere. Finally getting some use out of those disability benefits.
I'm sure she appreciates getting out to see the sights.
She's earned a little shore leave.
Alright. A little bit of reputation from that as well.